you know it's time. IAfootball is back, and we've got you covered with everything from the biggest hits to the biggest runs, from in-game highlights to post-game breakdown.
We are here talking any and all high school football.
From day one all the way to the dome, we've got you covered at IAfootball.
What is up, everybody? It is a Monday. I'm in my apartment, which means we've got rankings coming your way. Also coming today, I got to mention, for those who are paying attention, RPI drops on the Iowa High School Athletic Association website. It is 9 o'clock when I'm filming this right now. I'm sure that'll be up probably midday-ish sometime. That's a huge thing. I appreciate you guys tuning in and checking out our rankings, but the RPI is a massive thing, so we're going to have stuff coming out on that too. Just know the difference. The RPI is a formula. If you want me to break it down and explain it to you and how that all works, I can, but I won't bore you with that. But just know that the RPI does come out today, and that's a big deal. Also coming out today, Teams of the Week on Rockfin. Got that all set up and ready to go. The best individual performances from Friday night being honored on our Rockfin page, building teams out per class. Super fun. Also coming this week, Locks and Dogs. And our big thing on Rockfin this week are playoff bracket predictions. The RPI is going to help us figure some of that stuff out. District races are kind of starting to shape up, so our rankers are able to put an educated guess out there. Are they going to be 100% accurate? No. But it's fun to look ahead because our rankers do kind of know how this sort of works, and you're able to take an educated guess and get pretty close to what you think it might end up looking like. So that'll be super fun on Rockfin. As always, hit that bell button. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. Again, hitting that little bell is going to send you notifications every time we post, so you don't miss a single thing. Also, I want to recommend you to go check out Dowling Catholic and Ankeny Centennial's highlight on YouTube. Triple overtime game, just a crazy comeback from Dowling Catholic, 21-3 at half. They claw back behind backup quarterback Joey Nejas. Super fun game to be at. I'm glad I was there. And yeah, go check it out. Help support us, and could kind of cure some boredom on your Monday if you have some free time. Super fun, super good game. Will keep you entertained. But hey, let's get right into the rankings. We'll start off in Class 5A per usual. Valley hanging on as your number one team. They look good over Hawkeyes Northwest. They win that one 45-21. Bettendorf beats Cedar Rapids Kennedy 33-14. Good win for the Bulldogs. They stick at number 2. And Dowling Catholic is your new number 3 team. They rise up one spot. They beat Ankeny Centennial, obviously, last week in comeback fashion. Linn-Mar handles Muscatine. They sit at number 4. Pleasant Valley gets a good win over Cedar Falls, 51-28. They sit there at number 5. Ankeny Centennial drops back 3 spots after the loss to Dowling Catholic. Johnson beats Southeast Polk 34-0. One of those games that kind of makes your catches your eye a little bit. Johnson looks really good at home and beats Southeast Polk 34-0. They rise up one spot. Hawkeyes, they also jump up one spot after beating Des Moines Lincoln. Iowa City Liberty hangs on against Washington. They jump up one spot into the top 10 at number 9. Ankeny also back into the top 10. They beat Cedar Rapids Prairie 35-16. Pretty big riser for them. They jump up 3 spots. That's the biggest riser in all of Class 5A in our poll this week. Southeast Polk drops down 5 spots after the loss to Johnson. Cedar Falls, they fall 1 spot as well after losing to PV, and Prairie falls 1 spot after losing to Ankeny. Hawkeyes Northwest, Iowa City High, and Ottumwa, who beat Ames, all sit in the same exact spot that they were last week. We'll move on over to Class 4A as I get my stuff situated here. Lewis Central, still your number 1 team. They've been number 1 wire to wire. They beat Council Bluffs Thomas Jefferson 56-6. Pella hangs on against a good Newton team. I figured that would be a little bit closer than maybe the ranking suggested, but Pella, nonetheless, 6-0. They get that win. They hang on at number 2. And your biggest riser and pretty obvious team of the week here in Class 4A, Decorah. The Vikings, undefeated. They just beat Waverly Shell Rock 28-7. They jump up 7 spots And all of a sudden, they are number 3 and looking like a title contender in Class 4A. Xavier, also in a big game this week in Class 4A. They get a huge win over North Scott, 28-21. Really good football game there. They hang on at number 4. And North Polk gets a nice win over Ballard, 29-8. North Polk also undefeated. So handful undefeated teams left. And then you have Gilbert at number 9, also still undefeated down there in the polls as well. North Scott sits at number 6 after the loss to Xavier. Waverly Shellrock slots in after the loss of Decorah. And Washington Dubuque drops a couple spots after beating Marion just because of what teams did ahead of them, or behind them, I should say. Gilbert beat Carlisle 41-10. They sit at number 9. ADM beat Des Moines North 56-14. They dropped to number 10. 11 through 16, all the same, no movement. Newton lost to Pella. Ballard lost to North Polk. Indianola gets a nice win over Boone. Norwalk gets a nice win over DCG. Fort Dodge beats Storm Lake. And Spencer beats Denison. There's how your Class 4A is shaping up going into Week 7 across the Iowa high school football slate. We'll move on to Class 3A. As I get this pulled up, your new number 1 team, I put out a poll yesterday. The votes did not go Algona's way as of last night, but our ranker gives the nod to the Bulldogs. 6-0, just picked up a huge win over number 7 Clear Lake. Algona's your new number 1 team in Class 3A, folks. Williamsburg sits at number 2. They got a huge matchup this week, against number 4 Solon. Gonna have our eyes on that one, that's for sure. Waller at number 3 after a win over Independence. Really big win for Waller Catholic. They now have West Delaware in their sights, and they sit at number 3. Solon at number 4. They lose to Benton, drop down to that 4 spot, and again, they get a chance to avenge that loss from last year. I'm sorry, Solon beat Williamsburg last year. They get a chance to avenge last week's loss with a big opponent on their schedule, and that is number 2 Williamsburg. Mount Vernon beats Assumption. They move up to number 5. Bishop Heelan gets a really big win over Carroll. They jump up 2 spots to number 6. And Sergeant Bluff Luton in that same district with Heelan gets a win over MOC Floyd Valley. They jump up 3 spots to number 7. Indy, they're the team that fell to Waller Catholic. They drop down to number 8. Clear Lake drops to number 9 after the loss to Algona. And Humboldt beats Charles City and slots in at number 10. Nevada and Grinnell sit in at number 11, number 12. That's what they were last week. The Cubs beat Knoxville, and the Tigers beat South Tama. West Delaware jumps up a spot after beating Center Point Urbana. Again, they get Waller this week. That one should be fun. Washington moves up 2 spots after beating Mount Pleasant. Benton is your new team at number 15 after beating number 1 Solon, and they get another big test this week against number 12 Grinnell. They win that one. You can expect Benton to shoot up the rankings. Carroll fell to Bishop Heelan. But they get a big opponent right on schedule or right on deck with number 7 SBL, a road trip out to Sergeant Bluff Luton. That's going to be one to watch for sure. We'll move on to Class 2A. Appreciate y'all for joining me on a Monday. I always enjoy the support you guys give these rankings. Moving on to 2A, though. 1 through 6 unchanged. Spirit Lake, West Lyon, PCM, Van Meter, Kemper, and Western Christian all hang on. Their top 6. Central Lyon, George Little Rock picks up the big win over Cherokee Wash. They basically flip between 7 and 8. Roland Story moves up a spot. Northeast also up a spot into the top 10. They hang on against West Liberty. Clarenda moves up a spot. Des Moines Christian drops down 3 spots after the loss to Kemper Catholic. It's a good Kemper Catholic team. Not going to panic on them at all. West Burlington sits there at number 13. I picked against them. I'm going to learn not to do that again. Quincy Collins just ran wild all night long. You might see him up for another Player of the Week nominee as I work on those today. North Fayette Valley, the Tiger Hawks move up a spot. West Marshall also moves up a spot. And Albia, the Blue Demons, they slot back in. They've been in the rankings before, I believe. Week 3, Albia was in the rankings. Week 4, they dipped out. And here they are back again in Week 7. Catching, getting a little hot heading into the end of the regular season. We'll move on to Class 1A. Again, Week 7 rankings across Class 1A. Not too much changed here. 1 through 7 all staying the same. Grundy Center, Emmitsburg, Regina Catholic, Dyke New Hartford beats MFL Marmac 34-0. Not going to punish MFL Marmac too much because I really think that we have a clear top 4 here, possibly. I think there's kind of a little disparity here. And obviously our ranker had that as well. OABCAG at number 6 and Wilton at number 7, also elite teams. I could see Wilton being a team that surprises some people down the stretch. That team's really, really good. Trainer gets a big win over Underwood. So the Cardinals move up 6 spots. They're your biggest rank riser in Class 1A this week. They jump up to number 8. South Hardin drops down 1 spot after losing to Grundy Center. Hinton at number 10 stays the same. Sigourney Keota is on fire. Woodward Granger had a massive win over Grandview Christian. Alburnett over Columbus Catholic, big. AHSTW looks good. They jump up 2 spots. And then again, there's Underwood dropping down behind AHSTW. AHSTW has that win over Underwood. And then Hudson rounding out your top 16 in Class 1A. Move on to Class A, where we've got some movement in the middle here. 1 through 5 unchanged. ACGC, West Hancock, Lisbon, Earlham, and Madrid all pick up pretty dominant wins, pretty convincing wins, I should say. But there's some movement. St. Ansgar just throttles Newman Catholic, and that was enough for our ranker to really give them a bump up to number 6. They are your biggest riser in Class A this week. The St. Ansgar Saints are. North Lynn hangs on at number 7 after a win over Clayton Ridge. Pekin jumps up a spot. They were 9 last week. They jump up after the win over Highland. Galen Catholic drops down 3 spots. They didn't lose, just played a super close game with Sibley O'Shaden, and I think our ranker is giving the nod to some other teams that won more convincingly. Woodbury Central also drops down 2 spots. They won against Kingsley Pearson 48-22. That's a big rivalry there. Congrats to Woodbury Central. Starman at number 11, they hang on there. They were there last week. Nashville Plainfield jumps up a spot. They had a nice win over South Wynn. Let's see, Riverside. Tri-Center, excuse me. Tri-Center rise up 3 spots over St. Albert. Carter Coons is a guy to look out for. That dude's just putting up crazy numbers every single week in the box score. He's someone to check out in Class A. Riverside drops down 2 spots. They were number 12 last week. They barely hang on against Southwest Valley, 33-32. They still hang on in the rankings, just at number 14 this week. North Tama, they dropped down a spot as well. They beat North Butler, and then Wapsie Valley. They are your number 16 team in Class A. They beat AGWSR 48-0. Move on to Class 8-man, our final class this week. Here is your top 16 for Class 8-man. 1 through 8 looked really good. No changes 1 through 8. I mean, just dominance. Remsen St. Mary's 43-0. Garrigan 71-20. Lennox 72-8. Don Bosco 78-6. Audubon 54-28. Iowa Valley 72-30. And Bedford 85-0. Even number 8 Gladbrook Rhinebeck 48-6 over a good BGM team. Woodbine gets a nod. They jump up 2 spots after a massive win over West Harrison. Waco drops down a spot after a pretty competitive game against New London. They still sit at number 10. Janesville's at number 11. Cam's at number 12 with a 2-point win over Sydney. Southeast Warren beats Lamoni, and GTRA is convincing in Harris Lake Park. GTRA gets Bishop Garrigan this week. That one should be fun. Remsen St. Mary's and Woodbine as well is going to be fun. So some big 8-man games this week to look out for. Edgewood Colesburg is convincing over Springville, and Montezuma flip-flops at number 16. They take Belle Plaine spot, who was number 15 last week. Montezuma picks up a 28-24 win over the Plainsmen. That's all I got, though. Excuse me. For your rankings week 7. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. Make sure to share this with a friend. Let someone know. And subscribe to IAfootball on YouTube. Appreciate your all sports. And I'll catch you Wednesday for some locks and dogs.